Our teeth and ambitions are bared is a zeugma, and it's a zeugma where one of the words is literal and one is metaphorical, which is the best kind. I didn't know about zeugmas until just now. That is so awesome, everybody! Zeugma, noun, a figure of speech in which a word applies to two others in different senses, e.g. John and his license expired last week, or to two others of which it semantically suits only one, e.g. with weeping eyes and hearts. Isn't that awesome? In English class in high school, my teacher had us write our own zeugmas in class, and one guy came up with, "He fell from her favor and the window." I am forever looking for opportunities to use that one. She dropped her dress and inhibitions at the door. What's this? My favorite rhetorical device showing up on my dashboard? It has a name! Oh my god! My high school English teacher always explained it with, "He took his hat and his leave." Oh my god, this is great! If you read in a frog paper, specimen was released in the field immediately after capture, chances are very good that what it actually means is, I dropped the damn frog, and despite the fact that we fell all over each other, no one could recapture it. Sometimes when I am sad, I go read through the tags on this post because there are 70% other biologists saying things like, "and also, fuck field mice," and "that crab almost broke my finger," and I am reassured that I am not the only one who bobbled a wood frog right into their cleavage. Plus 6 or 7 people who just can't figure out what a frog paper could possibly be. Guys, it's a scientific paper about frogs. And this one, my favorite part about this is that it implies that this person has read multiple frog papers, which made me laugh despairingly because, I mean, look at all these papers! This highlighted one says, "Impact of asynchronous emergence of 2 lethal pathogens on amphibian assemblages." There's so many frog papers. They're all about frogs. My god, bro, you don't even know. What is the code entomologists use for, "I stepped on it, I'm so sorry, it was dark out and the specimen was very small"? Impromptu dissection was performed under less than optimal lighting conditions. Impromptu dissection is an alarming phrase in any context, and I thank you for it. What's biologist for? The little fucker bit me, and I yoked it into the undergrowth on reflex. Specimen was removed from the study pool due to abnormal interaction responses. I am reblogging this 98% for the second to last comment. Holy shit, I'm fucking joking. I am enjoying the tags/replies discussing the proper conjugation of to yeet. I am in favor of the decision that the future perfect is will have yitten. Expanding this, NASA has a few gems for their report language. Underwent unplanned rapid disassembly. It exploded, and it wasn't an explosion we wanted to happen. Litho-braking maneuver. It stopped because it hit the goddamn ground. Engine-rich exhaust. The engine bell melted or evaporated, or the engine ejected itself out the back of the rocket without having a very good reason to do so. Fishing orbit. The craft is in the ocean instead of space, and we didn't mean to put it there. Thrust was observed along an undesired vector. The engine leaked and the rocket spun off into oblivion. Wearing his manager hat. A moron who shouldn't be an engineer, a reference to the infamous quote, "Take off your engineer hat and put on your manager hat" in the meeting in which the Challenger was cleared for launch. Received an unrequested transfer. He's dead. Litho-braking maneuver. Every time I reblog this, it gets better. Received an unrequested transfer. Hey, what's the biologist for "My dog ate the specimen, I'm so sorry he thought it was a toy"? Subject was misidentified by aide and unexpectedly returned to the food chain. For Chinese New Year, they get all these famous actors and comedians together and they do a little show, and one of the comedians was like, "I was in a hotel in America once and there was a mouse in my room, so I called reception except I forgot the English word for mouse. So instead I said, 'You know Tom and Jerry? Jerry is here.' Jerry is here. My Chinese teacher once shared this story in class about someone who went to the grocery to buy chicken, but they forgot the English word for it, so they grabbed an egg, went to the nearest sales lady and said, "Where's the mother?" When I was a teenager, we went to Italy for the summer holidays. We are German. Neither of us speaks more than a few words of Italian. That didn't keep my family from always referring to me when they wanted something translated because you're so good with languages and you took Latin. I told them 100 times I couldn't order ice cream in Latin. They ignored that. Anyway, my dad really loved a certain cheese there made from sheep's milk. He knew the Italian word for cheese, formaggio, and he knew how to say please, and he had already spotted a little shop that sold the cheese. He asked me what sheep was in Italian, and of course I had no idea. So he just shrugged and said, "I'll manage," and went into the shop. 5 minutes later, he comes out with a little bag, obviously very pleased with himself. How did he manage it? He had gone in and said, "Bah! Formaggio, prego." I was done for the day. This made me feel better about every conversation I had in both Rome and Ghent. I once was at a German-American church youth camp for 2 weeks, and predictably, we spoke a whole lot of English. When I phoned my mom during week 2, I tried to tell her that it was a bit cold in the sleeping bag at night. I stumbled around the word in German because, for the love of God, I couldn't remember the German word for sleeping bag. Yeah, so it's like a bag you sleep in at night? And my mother must probably have thought I lost my mind. She just sighed and it was like, "So a Schlafsack, yes?" Which is literally sleeping sack. The German word is a basically one-on-one translation of the English word, and I failed it at my mother tongue. Big! My former boss is Italian, and she ended up working in a lab where the common language was English. She once saw an insect running through the lab, and she went to tell her colleagues. She remembered it was the name of a famous English band, so she barged in the office yelling there was a rolling stone in the lab. I'm Spanish and have been living in the UK for a while now. I recently changed jobs and moved to a new office, which is lost somewhere in the Midlands countryside. It's a pretty quaint location, surrounded by forest on pretty much all sides and with nice grounds, full of pheasants. I was pretty shocked when I drove in and saw a fucking pheasant strolling across the road, calm as you please. That afternoon, I met up with some friends and was talking about the new job and the new office, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember the English word for pheasants. So I basically ended up bragging to my friends about the very fancy chickens we had outside the office. Best thing is, everyone understood what I meant. I love these stories so much. Picture a Jewish American girl whose grasp of the Hebrew language comes from 10 plus years of immersion in biblical and liturgical Hebrew, not the modern language. Some words are identical, while others have significantly evolved. She gets to Israel and is riding a bus for the very first time. American, kama mamon ze? How much money, but in rather archaic language. Bus driver, shte zuzim, 2 zuzim, a currency that's been out of circulation for millennia. That's hilarious. I am officially scream laughing at my desk from that last one. Oh my. Oh yeah, and one time my Latin professor was at this conference in Greece and his flight was cancelled, so he needed to extend his hotel stay by 1 more night. Except he couldn't speak a lick of modern Greek, and the receptionist couldn't speak English, or French, or German, or Italian. He tried all of them. Finally, in a fit of inspiration, he went upstairs and got his copy of Medea in the original Greek. You know, the stuff separated from modern Greek by 2,500 years. He found the passage where Medea begs Jason to let her stay for 1 more day, went downstairs and read it to the receptionist. She laughed her head off, but she gave him the extra night. All of these, mwah. But the Medea one is hands down the best. Our Japanese class found it funny that in common terminology, food isn't very distinguished from specifically rice until it was pointed out to us that in English, meal is loose, roughly ground grain. Humans be like, staple crop. In German, a Christmas tree farm is called a tree school. And I thought that was very cute and funny until I remembered that we buy our plants at a nursery. A random assortment of archaic, disused English words that should still be used. Brust, bristled or bristly. Coolth, coolness. We still have warmth, so why did this one disappear? Ambiloquent, using ambiguous language. Down steepy, steeply descending. Mazeful, confusing. Evulgate, to send out among the people, to publish or distribute. Toploftical, haughty. Hazardry, risk-taking. Dizzard, a fool, jester, or stupid person. Againster, someone who is habitually opposed to things or against things. Loselry, behavior characteristic of a losel, which is similar to a loser except the connotation encompasses profligate or scoundrel, so a losel. That's an interesting thing. What's the difference between a losel and a loser? Plaguey, that one is self-explanatory. Malingene, malingene? Evil intent, fraud, deceit. Beastin, of or pertaining to beasts. Wranglesome, contentious and prone to quarreling. Dwine, to waste away. All of these words are extremely necessary to describe being extremely online. Thank you for evulgating this list. Chuffed doesn't mean what you think it means. Chuffed, delighted, pleased, satisfied. Origin, 1855 to 60. Chuffed, annoyed, displeased, disgruntled. It means exactly what I think it means. It's just some stupid word that literally has two definitions that mean the opposite thing. What the hell? This makes me really chuffed. This post is quite egregious. Egregious, outstandingly bad, shocking, remarkably good. Well, I'm nonplussed by this whole post. Nonplussed. Of a person, surprised and confused so much that they are unsure how to react. Of a person, unperturbed. God damn it! English. Peruse. To look at or read something in an informal or relaxed way. To examine or read something in a very careful way. All of you go to hell, and you wonder why I am boggled at times. These are called contronyms, a word that is its own opposite. Why the fuck do these exist? One theory is that the sarcastic use of the word became exceedingly prevalent and because another dictionary definition. Are you telling me that we were such sarcastic shits it literally changed our language? Speaking as a linguist, yes, that is exactly what happened. Isn't it beautiful? Why the fuck does English have a word for defenestration, formal, humorous, the action of throwing someone out of a window? Death by defenestration has a venerable history, but not for the day after tomorrow, because you're not looking hard enough. Overmorrow, the day after tomorrow. Ere yesterday, the day before yesterday. Example, I defenestrated my brother ere yesterday. I shall defenestrate my sister overmorrow. Because I hate my family, and also windows. English has some of the best examples of stupidly specific words, to be honest. Rhoticism, excessive use of the letter R. Lingable, meant to be licked. Whipjack, a beggar, specifically one who is pretending to have been shipwrecked. Yerd, to beat with an object with a stick. Rodican, the fourth stomach of a cow or a deer. Balbriggan, a type of fine cotton most often used in underwear. And my personal favorite, cornobble, to slap or beat another person with a fish. This makes the English nerd in me extremely happy. I'm going to cornobble you. Not if I cornobble you first. So, theoretically, I could yerd a whipjack for letting my unlingable balbriggan end up in a rodican. Floxinoxy nihilipilification, the action or habit of estimating something as worthless. I started Hebrew, which is why I've been dead on this blog, but I don't think I can ever properly convey to you guys the sheer cultural whiplash of spending years learning Japanese from Japanese teachers and then trying to learn Hebrew from an Israeli. Japanese. You walk into class already apologizing for being alive. Hebrew. You walk into class, the teacher insults you, and you are expected to insult her back. Japanese conjugates every single verb based on degree of intended politeness, never mind kaigo and honorifics. Hebrew. Someone asked my teacher how to say "excuse me," and she laughed for several seconds before saying we shouldn't worry about remembering that since we'll never need to say it. Japanese. If you get one stroke wrong, the entire kanji is incomprehensible. Hebrew. Cursive? Script? Fuck it, do whatever you want. You don't even have to write the vowels out unless you feel like it. Japanese. The closest thing there is to bastard is an excessively direct you pronoun. Hebrew. Bitch translates directly. Fun fact, Israel has possibly the lowest power distance metric of any culture in the world, while Japan has one of the highest. I didn't realize that the CTO of my company was the CTO until somebody else told me, because everybody called him by his first name and engaged in mutual shit-talking and playful insults with him. In Japan, even calling your boss by the wrong honorific is liable to get you in trouble. And apparently there's some science-y cooperative venture going on between Israel and Japan in an official diplomatic capacity. I want to be a fly on the wall when Japanese and Israeli scientists work together. Hi, I'm bilingual Hebrew-English, and I'm in my 3rd year of Japanese study. I'd like to share with you one of my favorite Hebrew culture versus Japanese culture stories. For one of my classes, I was expected to write a speech about my experiences learning Japanese. I decided to focus on the Japanese practice of end-of-sentence omission, essentially failing to say the last part of your sentence because it could be considered too rude. Like, instead of telling someone they can't do that, you'll say, "I'm sorry, but that is somewhat impossible." When my sensei asked me why I picked such a topic, I explained that the level of attention required interested me, since in Israel everyone typically talks at the same time and interruption is basically normal. My sensei didn't even believe me. She laughed when I said that. I laughed too and asked, "Why are you laughing?" She said, "If everyone spoke at the same time, how would they ever understand each other?" Three internet trends I will, regrettably, probably never grow out of. Typing in a crescendo to express excitement. Unnecessarily long ellipses. Putting a typo in every other word to show you don't really give a fuck, but you actually do. Also, unnecessary punctuation marks. Like, what is going on here? I am so excited! And totally unneeded trademark symbols. Personally, I enjoy random capitalization to show things are very important. Can we also talk about starting a sentence and then kind of just stating something? Reblog if you agree. Dude, this isn't even a collection of memes. This is a demonstration of internet grammar. Anyone who says that when you type and communicate on the internet you lose too much inflection to get the real meaning just don't understand internet syntax. The evolution of language in action. The Rosetta Stone of the 21st century. Also, doing this to express bottled pain. Or using commas for ellipses, because it sounds better in your head than periods. Putting spaces in your words at random times because what the fuck? Is it just me, or did anyone else read all of these with different tones of voice, volume, and inflection? Don't forget the big spaces for emphasis. And don't forget that you can use random capitalization to imply sarcasm. I feel fucking called out. And don't forget running all your words together into one long sentence. And don't forget doing the thing, this thing, the line thing, to sort of show how you space out parts of your sentence. Don't forget how we emphasize a particularly moody aesthetic. I can hear all of these, holy shit. And we can't forget about this. And my edition. I love reading all of these in my head.